G'day, legends. There's been a bloody shake-up at Featherweight, hasn't there? I want to talk to you about it. Alright, we can finally put all of this Raj's stuff behind us. Well, at least for today we can. There's only so much you can go on about the horrible incident. Let's get back to MMA for a second. I think that would be nice for the entire community. And particularly I wanted to talk about heavyweight because something rather wild has happened, hasn't it? Aljamain Sterling, one of the best bantamweights of all time, some people say he's the third best bantamweight of all time, has now entered the top 5 of the UFC featherweight division. Alexander Volkanovski has won back the belt, as we all know. Movsar Evloev is out of the title picture because he has recently sustained an injury. It's all happening at featherweight. Today's video is going to be the state of the UFC featherweight division, the direction that I would like to see it go, and just waxing poetic on it for a little bit, because some people are calling the featherweight division a little bit dead, a bit of a dark ages over at featherweight. I don't believe it's that way at all. I think featherweight is absolutely alive and popping. So let's just work our way down the rankings here, talk about some of the matchmaking, talk about the way that I see the division moving in the future. Let's get into it. Now, I want to start off with Alexander Volkanovski. Look, Alex is a bloke that is here to play ball with the UFC and is just generally a nice guy as well. Yes, I might be a little bit biased. G'day, how you going? My name is Dougie. Yes, I am an Australian. Obviously, I'm a massive Alexander Volkanovski fan. JDM is going to destroy Islam Makhachev. Robert bloody Whittaker is going to win a belt again one day, mate. He never is. This video isn't about Robert Whittaker. But Volk is a good bloke, and Volk has been pushing the UFC to try and get Movsar Evloev his title shot. He's been dropping little hints every single interview that he's done. He's been saying, Movsar is a good bloke, lad, he's a good bloke, but I'll give anyone the UFC wants, mate. Anyone the UFC wants, but Movsar's an alright kid. Unfortunately for Movsar, this isn't the PFL. Yeah, the UFC is a sports entertainment company, and Movsar Evloev is yet to get a finish in the UFC. Featherweight, bantamweight, lightweight, welterweight, these are the UFC's main divisions. They are not giving you a title shot if you have not gotten a single finish in the UFC. And unfortunately for Movsar, unfortunately for old Movsar Evloev, he has been injured once again, and whether or not, I don't know what the deal is here, but he doesn't want to tell anyone what his injury is. His media team, his team, has not told the wider MMA community what his injury is. Now, there is a bit of strategy to that. Obviously, you do not want your next opponent to know that you've got a bad shoulder, a bad knee, a bad ankle. Keep throwing examples at the wall for as long as you want. You don't want your opposition to know that. Now, your opposition doesn't know that, but we also, the general MMA audience, do not know what is wrong with you either. So in the eyes of the fans, you were set up for a massive opportunity against the new bloke, Picograms, and you pulled out of your 8th fight. Not saying he's caused 8 pullouts, just saying now on your career, you've had 8 pullouts, like 8 fights have not gone to plan that you have been part of. You were absolutely to blame for this latest one. You're already pushing it uphill, trying to get a title shot. Unfortunately for Movsar, I think he's out of the title picture. And if I was Dougie Dana White running the UFC, Movsar Evloev would no longer be the #1 ranked contender at the featherweight division. I would have you have been out for too long. You are getting cooked. You are no longer the #1 contender. In Dougie's UFC that I control the promotion, you lose points for being out. I don't care if you're injured. I don't care. The longer that you sit out not fighting people, the less chance you have to be in the top 10. But either way, that's just me. That's a personal preference. Let's move on. Talking about Diego Lopes. Now, Diego Lopes, this one's fairly easy. He is going to be going in there against Gene Silva. Now, you can see Gene Silva coming all the way down here, ranked number 10, I believe, right now. Yes, I totally didn't just check it just then. Yeah, Gene Silva being ranked number 10, moving all the way up to fight Diego Lopes. You'd think you'd hear the kind of outrage that the MMA community was giving when, I don't know, Umar got to move all the way up to fight Corey Sandhagen. Remember that? Remember when everyone was absolutely raging about it? Weird you don't hear that in the MMA community. I guess people just like Gene Silva, so he gets a free pass at a #1 contenders fight, which this is essentially a #1 contenders fight. Now, I am quite happy to be biased. I bloody love this. I think this is great. Gene Silver is an absolute animal. Literally, all he does is go around barking. As much as I am a Bryce Mitchell fan, I still like Gene Silver. Gene Silver still brings a level of excitement. I am perfectly down for this fight to happen. Gene Silver versus Diego Lopez for a number one contender fight. However, the UFC were trying to give a title shot to Yair Bloody Rodriguez, who is someone that I loathe. I loathe Yair Rodriguez because he is he never used to be boring. Back in the day, back in the Reebok era, he wasn't boring. But ever since he got that title shot against Josh Emmett, he's just been a little bit, I don't know, entitled to me. Entitled. Since then, he has lost a fight to Brian Ortega and barely won a fight against Pitbull. And the UFC were going to give him a title shot over Movsar Evloev for scraping past Pitbull, all because he was Mexican. And I guess it's not really Yair's fault that this has happened. Like, yes, he is acting entitled, but he is acting entitled because the UFC are encouraging him to be entitled, because they will do anything. Dana White, as I've said in previous videos, lives off gallons of Mexican semen. Just like Michael Chandler lives off muscle milk, Dana White lives off two sources in life. One of them is an injection tube shoved all the way up his anus of just Saudi Arabian money pumping up in there until he coughs whatever dollars they have in Saudi Arabia, and then to wash it down, Dana White drinks buckets of Mexican cum. Why the Mexicans had their own specific belt made for their champions, check it out. They did. They had their own custom belt. God knows. But it's that kind of privilege that Dana White has glazed onto Yair Rodriguez that has made him the entitled little boy that he is. Now, the amount of fan backlash that that the fans were giving to the UFC seems to have actually worked, which is a really, really rare win for the fan base that I don't think we, the community, celebrated enough. So, to all the UFC fans, good on us, gold star for us. But Yair Rodriguez seems to have been kicked from the title shot and edging out a pointed decision over a 40-something-year-old Pitbull. It's actually 38-year-old Pitbull, but let's not ruin a good story. Seems to have lost Yair Rodriguez. He's completely unjustified and undeserved title shot, and instead they're going to give it to Lerone Murphy, bruh. Now, Movsar is out and injured, so it's not going to be Movsar Evloev. That's fair enough. Lerone Murphy, he's 35. He is absolutely not getting younger, although none of us are we? But he's 35 years old. He is on an insane win streak, and he just slept Pico and stole all of that thunder. What Lerone Murphy actually managed to do was that thing that Hunter Campbell was saying to Aljamain Sterling. When Hunter Campbell sat down with Aljamain Sterling and was like, if you beat Sean O'Malley, you steal all of that hype. That's on your shoulders. And, poor old Aljamain Sterling got a little bit gaslit by Hunter Campbell. But in this situation, that actually did happen to Lerone Murphy. And an elbow like that is going to get you a title shot when the top is already so clogged up. Like Diego Lopez and Gene Silver, they're already booked in. Movsar Evloev, that was his spot. You came in on short notice. You put the elbow through the skull. You have won yourself that. And that is going to be fucking awesome to see. Hopefully we get that fight November, December. If it is going to be JDM at Madison Square Garden in November, I would love to see Alexander Volkanovski on that card as well. And let's really Australian up the end of the year, even though there's going to be a fight night in Perth. We're the Westerners that have the belts right now. Australia are the Westerners that have the belts right now. Everyone else is from the Caucasus and 2 Australians. Heaven forbid we should get a pay-per-view, even though our taxes literally pay for the UFC to come here. Fucking love it, mate. Love it, man! Love it! Love that we get a fight night. Can't wait to watch Justin Tuffer when we've got 2 champs. It's fucking great. Send him to New York. So many Aussies in New York. Fuck me, the UFC sometimes. I swear to God, man. Anyway, moving on. Aljamain Sterling just got himself a massive win. Absolutely massive win. Now, I get it. Right? I understand. I get it. I understand. Oh, no, I'm pulling a Lucas Tracy right now, just rambling a little bit, but I'm getting to a point here. Just let me get rolling, okay? Here we go. We kind of hate Aljamain Sterling. We, the MMA fans. We don't love Aljamain Sterling. I understand that. However, Aljamain Sterling lost his belt trying to impress us by keeping it standing with Sean O'Malley. Just have a little bit of sympathy for that. He's done the grind, and gotten himself back into the top 5. Yes, he was the worst thing on UFC 300. He single-handedly tried to ruin UFC 300. And I am angry at him for that. I still am. I can actually feel myself getting angry thinking about Aljamain Sterling on UFC 300. But he did try and finish Brian Ortega. As boring as that performance was, and it was boring, even though it was a striking, but if you don't like it, just go watch Permanent. Just shut the fuck up. Sometimes there are moments in MMA that are boring, and this striking match against Brian Ortega from Aljamain Sterling was boring. But I've said all of this. I bring you all of this because I don't think it was Aljamain Sterling's fault. There was a point in the second or third round where Aljamain Sterling just decided to go full-on helicopter, and just spinning elbows at Brian Ortega. He got to the point where Aljamain Sterling has shattered his elbow, done something horrible to his elbow. His elbow is absolutely fucked now. Fucked. Have you seen the photos of it? His elbow is completely cooked. He tried to finish Brian Ortega, is what I'm trying to say. It's not Aljamain Sterling's fault that Brian Ortega's skull is made of the same thing as Marvin Vettori's skull. Yeah, they're both cooked. Now, Aljamain is very obviously injured because of the blowout on his shoulder. And people are saying, oh, Aljamain Sterling can fight the loser of Gene Silva versus Diego Lopez. I think, considering, and I'm probably going to get pushback on this because it is kind of not something the UFC usually does, but considering that Movzar is injured and now Aljamain is injured, they are both on the exact same path. Movzar's injured, Aljamain's injured, they just fought, it was exceedingly close, 50-50, could have gone either way. Movzar Evloev scraped it through on the scorecards, which I think is controversial. I don't think Movzar won that fight. Why not do the rematch? Why not do the rematch? Why not? Honest to God, why not? Why not do the rematch? Aljo's going to be out for a while. This is my idea. Let me know what you think about that down in the comments. It's very rare to get a rematch like this in the contenders section of the rankings. Like in the top 5, where everyone's battling for that contender everyone is battling for that contender position. This is exceedingly rare. You might get what's a recent example? Dustin versus Gaethje, years apart. You know, Holloway versus Dustin again, years and years apart. You might get rematches years apart. To see a rematch, which would essentially be first quarter of next year, by the time everyone's healed up, and a fight that happened in 2024, very, very rare. But I think it should happen. I really do. Next one up, Arnold Allen. Arnold Allen's been out forever and a day. Where the fuck is he? What the fuck is he doing? When is Arnold Allen coming back? Again, Arnold, to me, should get the old Movzar Evloev if Dougie was Dana White treatment. He shouldn't be here. He should be knocked down the rankings a little bit. And I would say Arnold versus Pitbull. Look, Arnold is coming off the loss to Movzar. Again, very close, but Arnold's been out. Pitbull's coming off the win to Ige. Pitbull's one of these fighters that the UFC pay a lot of money to, so they need to give him a name. Arnold's the stand-up striker. Pitbull's the stand-up guy. I believe that this is the fight to make right here. This is the next one. The natural one. Arnold can't be out for much longer. And Pitbull at 38 years old, he's not going to be fighting once or twice a year. He'll age out by then. Pitbull is probably going to be like MVP or Michael Chandler when he's not sitting around waiting for Conor McGregor. Actually fairly decently active. Rainier de Riddler. These guys that have already had their careers behind them, and now it's start to finally getting their names out to the UFC audience so they can start to build their brand. It's about activity. So Arnold Allen, I don't know where the fuck you are. Get back in the fucking cage. Fight Pitbull. You're on your way down because of inactivity. Pitbull's on his way up because of, at least beating Dan Ige. So I think this is the matchup. Obviously, Josh Emmett and Yusuf Zalal are fighting each other. Hopefully, Josh Emmett sleeps Yusuf Zalal. And Brian Ortega, and I've made an entire video about this, about what do you do with Brian Ortega. I've told you this already. You have already, because you are an avid Dougie's Corner watcher, you watch every single video. You know exactly what to do with Brian Ortega. And it is this. This is what you do. Fuck off. Brian, just fuck off. Fuck off, Brian. Aljamain Sterling versus Movsar Evloev rematch. Diego Lopez versus Gene Silva. Yes. Oh, Yair Rodriguez. What have I said? What to do with Yair Rodriguez? What do you do with Yair Rodriguez? He's in the cuck chair. We got someone in the cuck chair, chat. I guess you do Aljamain Sterling. If Movsar is going to be... But Aljo's going to be out for a while. And Yair needs a fight. But Yair needs to be punished as well. Because Yair ducked Diego Lopez. He did literally duck Diego Lopez. So he needs to be punished. You know, Steve Garcia is on a sick run. Plus, he is on a, like, he fought in July. So he is going to be on a very similar schedule to Pitbull. They both just won. They're both working their way up the rankings. So I guess you'd go Steve Garcia versus Pitbull. They're in the same area in the rankings. Aljamain Sterling versus Movsar is a rematch I still think should happen. And I think they're on the same calendar trajectory because of their injuries. Yair Rodriguez versus Arnold Allen, I guess, is the matchup to make. You got to get Yair Rodriguez onto a winning streak. You have to. You can't be talking title shot after being literally 3 losses, 1 win. You're not talking title shot. On 2 losses, 1 win in your last 3. And the guy that you won was Pitbull, who wasn't even ranked at the fucking time. You are not getting a title shot off that. So I guess it's Yair Rodriguez versus Arnold Allen. Because Arnold Allen needs a job. Get back into the UFC, Arnold Allen. That's it. That is what I am calling the state of the UFC featherweight division. How I see it going. The matchups that I see being set up next. I really like this division. I love the way the division is playing out. You fire Brian Ortega. You tell Movsar to have another crack at Sterling. You tell Yair Rodriguez to stop just... loving the fact that Dana White lives off Mexican semen. Get back in there. Steve Garcia is a sleeper agent. If you do not know Steve Garcia, now you know. He's a fucking little knockout machine. And him versus Pitbull actually gives me the MMA tingles deep in my ballsack. That is a sneaky, sick fight that I've just made. I'm a fucking genius. And that's the video, guys. If this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Dougie. I make an MMA video every day of the week, and I go live all the bloody time. Let me know what you think about the matchups that I've done. They're no longer on the screen. Let me know what you think about the matchups that I've done down in the comments. Like the video if you like the video. And if you're one of the bloody legends of the channel, you're Mike Lang. No, if you're one of the bloody legends of the channel, you're Cheddarhead. Now, if you are one of the bloody legends of the channel, your name's Mick Bloody Ward down there in the comment. All of your names are up on the next slide. Enjoy that. And the best pickers in our live chat community, the top 10 best pickers in our live chat community, are up on the following slides as well. I need to lift my game. I'm slowly slipping out of my own top 10. I'm embarrassed. I wake up embarrassed. I go to sleep embarrassed. This is how it must be to be Ian Gary. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one. Goodbye.